Hello, welcome. We are Spud Studios. I am Damian Royer. I'm our producer.
I'm Robert Christensen, Systems and UI Programmer.
I'm Maggie Pono, the designer.
I'm Ella Countess, the environment artist.
And I'm Orion Tether, the character artist.
Shakeem Brown is our gameplay programmer. Primrose Kirk is our sound designer. And you are a potato.
Spudliminal is a third-person physics-based puzzle game intended for players who love achievement and exploration. Set in the liminal home of the eccentric and messy alchemist Hilbert, you play as a nameless Spud looking for a way to escape. Roll, jump, and squish your way out of rooms to hopefully find an exit, or maybe be met with yet another room. All right, so Spudliminal is built on 3 core pillars, our potato pillars. The first one is holding up our game is exploration. We really want to encourage action throughout the room. Our second one is movement. Being something inhuman and a potato at that, we wanted to focus on funny ways for our players to get around. And the last pillar of absurdity supports our approach of brainstorming, meaning nothing is off the table. This design philosophy keeps players on their toes and fresh elements humorous and unexpected.
With a small but open play area, we believe curiosity should always be rewarded. Achievements help to encourage players to explore and experiment, as well as funneling them towards interesting parts of our world. The narrative system also helps guide players towards and through puzzles. Together, these provide immediate positive feedback and help reinforce gameplay patterns.
Early on, we realized verticality would be a challenge both for players and to design interesting pathing options. Everything is bigger when you're a potato. We also found that physics-based movement with a lumpy, irregular player had a lot of character and helped keep traversal interesting, where it might be trivial. While we were adding more ways to interact with the world, we decided to preserve some of the jank that kind of added to the fun and the challenge.
The first ability the player unlocks is Squish, which lets the players access tight spaces. The system also supports more complex distortions that future mechanics could build on. The first jump was also pitched as unsquishing with enough force to send the player flying, which later became Squish Jump and a shorter hop. For our next ability, if potatoes are left alone, their eyes will start to sprout tendrils. Our potato already has a different kind of eyes though, so we decided to play to the absurdity. Eye sprouts let the player pick up and move objects with finer control.
So every room will have unique puzzles with creative movement challenges and multiple solutions. Due to player readability risks, all puzzles and rooms will have 2 or more solutions and exits so that players who want to explore don't feel like their time is wasted looking for other routes or just wreaking havoc.
So for an exploration-centric game like Spudliminal, we really wanted to prioritize an immersive and interactive environment. Each level is a closed room setting packed with interactable objects such as shattable items. If you think you can break it, you probably can. We also integrated diegetic puzzles to encourage the player to engage and explore with the environment. The art direction consists of mid to low poly models in a base color texturing style. We chose this to allow more time for asset creation so that we have a more densely populated environment for the player to investigate. For this semester, we kept the visual setting in one room so that we could focus on creating an immersive environment that demonstrates the core game loop. However, we are looking to expand the environment to include more rooms for the player to explore in the future.
So the character scope for Spudliminal encompasses both the potato main character and the various NPCs that the potato will meet along their way. And each character will remain primarily within the realm of a fanciful anthropomorphic object. And as for the art direction of the potato, we were really trying to go for a silly, cartoonish face to match our aesthetic and add to the absurdity of the game. And in order to keep ourselves within scope for this semester, as well as to keep in mind our thematic premise, we wanted to keep a reserved but functional approach to designing the potato. As for Ashbel the Great, the first NPC that the player meets along their way, we similarly wanted to create a fanciful anthropomorphic object character. Ashbel is meant to be both eye-catching and approachable for the player, as he is an important guiding tool for us in the first levels. Ashbel leans into silly, cartoonish character design with his fiery silhouette, while exhibiting more silly characteristics with his devilish face and saturated coloration.
So you heard our main theme on the trailer, and in the future, all music will be diegetic. As a team, we worked together to ensure that sounds felt smooth and didn't take the player out of the environment. We look to convey moods that are whimsical and adventurous, using specific instruments and motifs, such as cellos. When creating SFX, we wanted to accentuate player feedback. Because our game is entirely interactable, it's important that the player receives immediate feedback when they do something.
In the concept phase, we were riffing about a game where you rolled around as a potato trying not to be cooked. After refining our original idea significantly, we had a concept where a potato was trying to escape a room after gaining consciousness, and we sent it to testing. Testers provided us with a lot of positive feedback, and the reactions motivated us even more to continue development on that potato game. Fast forward to 4 weeks, and we were well in the swing of things. The game began to sprout, and our vision was ever growing as we thought of new ideas and received feedback. The environment was taking shape. Ashbel had a face and a name, and our puzzle was a lot less linear, pushing players to explore the level more. We also added destructible objects, a crowd and developer favorite, which encouraged more player interaction. This brings us to the present. The current version of Spudliminal is a synthesis of our goofiest and best ideas, iterated on until we think is the perfect mix of jank, fun, and effective. Our environment has been fully realized. Ashbel and the potato have undergone some cosmetic changes which fit better in the world we've created, and our fire spirit has been animated. Sound effects bring the world to life, and the music adds a nice flair, drawing players in even further. We've turned the player camera into an automatic system to better present content, and to top it off, we're no longer confined to one room. Our intrepid potato can travel between 2 kitchen levels, complete with their own objectives, puzzles, and self-contained stories. Spudliminal is focused towards gamers who value humor, challenge, puzzles, exploration, and achievement. With this in mind, our game draws its appeal from the art style, progression through mechanics, use of achievements and goals, destruction, and the level of jank. We think a game like this is best suited for audiences 10 and up as a result of a fair amount of comic mischief, some mechanics, and a few under-the-radar jokes. Our game is currently live on itch. If we're given the opportunity to go through, we'd like to publish Spudliminal on Steam to reach a wider audience. We've done a lot of testing this semester, allowing us to iterate and fine-tune Spudliminal's gameplay. Some of the most apparent changes can be seen in our camera, which has evolved into a carefully curated series of fixed angle follow cameras, which kind of help better guide the player as a design tool. We've also had a lot of fun seeing testers interact with our world and our game, and their experience has guided our development choices. Over the course of the last 3 months, players have found what we call happy accidents, small goofy interactions that we fine-tuned and purposefully included in our gameplay. Finally, we've built an analytic system to gather detailed data about player pathing and interactions with each playthrough. In the middle graphic, you can see visualized paths where testers push the teapot along in the first iteration of the kitchen. We've used the data we've collected this semester to refine our puzzles and the readability of the environment. Moving forward.
Potatoes are an incredibly versatile foodstuff and a quite hardy object too. So moving forward, we'd like to embrace a wide range of ideas in theme, both with being a potato and the environments. If we can see a potato doing something, even if it's not entirely realistic, we want to consider it. And some of the ideas we've had so far include covering yourself in slippery butter, slicing into multiple controllable pieces, and acting as a battery. We also want to consider interactions between these statuses.
So for the narrative future of Spudliminal, we have an overarching story that can be implemented. We want to contextualize the world around the player to assist them in their objectives, while offering a richer narrative experience for those who seek it out. That being said, the surrounding narrative is optional, and those who do not pursue it will not have a lesser experience. We understand that narrative is a risk. However, that can be mitigated with our in-house narrative system that makes it incredibly easy to implement flavor text, cutscenes, animations, and really anything else you can think of for dialogue. In the future, we want to add more rooms and NPCs. One of the ideas we've been interested in is a shift in aesthetic and mood. taking the form of a cluttered, ominous junk room, complete with NPCs like the Eye in the Crack, and the Shattered Doll. Every system within the game has been built with modularity and scalability in mind. Currently, we have roughly a 6-week turnaround for 2 levels using 1 environment, each containing 2+ puzzles and 1 NPC. We anticipate this timeline will decrease with a larger team. We'd also like to add other rewards other than mechanics, such as companions who follow you around.
Finally, at the end of the day, we love this team. We're a group of passionate individuals that can make diverse ideas work together and mix in a fair bit of humor along the way. Our team riffs and expands on what we think would be funny or entertaining, and more often than not, even the goofiest ideas find their way into the game somehow. We kept this environment alive, and we want to grow it even further with a larger team. We're a welcoming group of people, and we're interested in ideas and skills that you guys have to offer. Nothing is off the table. Thank you so much.
Thank you.